everyone. Welcome to Leadership Florida's Leadership Exchange podcast, sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware. And today I am so excited to have Kurt Gehring, who is the National Practice Leader Public Entity for Risk Strategies. Welcome, Kurt.
Thanks. Great to be here.
And John Muller, Vice President of Strategy and Growth. Great to have you here, John.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us, Wendy.
So, we're talking with both of these wonderful Leadership Florida members who are also a part of several entities, Gehring Group Risk Strategies, and they're going to tell you more about that in a minute. But I'm going to start, Kurt, with you. Our podcast sponsor, as I just mentioned, is Sunshine Ace Hardware. And their motto is, as we all know, Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks. From a similar theme, I want you, Kurt, to finish this sentence for me. Risk Strategies, Gehring Group is the place with.
Well, actually, I think it's a place where people want to be.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know more about that. When you're saying the place where people want to be, I want you now, Kurt, to talk to us about your organizations. Explain to our Leadership Florida members and more who you are, what's happening that's very exciting right now, what's going on with your organization, and what do you do?
Well, I think put it in a nutshell, we're a specialist, niche market, I would say, but we specifically do insurance. I mean, that's really the thing that we do when you really ask us is we provide insurance coverages specifically to public entities. We don't do private. And when I say that, it really has to do with anything they buy. It could be employee benefits, uh, dental, life, and all those things that are encompass employee benefits, but that also encompasses property, casualty, and liability. So the property, the liability, the hurricane coverage, all that stuff, anything that a public entity buys, we actually work with. You would actually be surprised, even like in the jails, we actually provide inmate medical consulting and things like that. But when you hear insurance, insurance is like the easy part. What we really are consultants. And when you think about public entities, is how do you have a public entity actually bid a plan? How do they bid it? What's the process? What do those documents look like? How many meetings do you have to have? How do you negotiate with partners and then go through that entire process to get it passed by the council and then implement? So what we are specialists in are actually project managers to take care of that entire process along the way. And if you think about it, what does that mean? That means we deal with finance, we deal with the HR folks, we deal with the risk managers, we deal with the council. So it's not one of those things like in private where you may just talk to the owner of the business and they make a business or a decision, say, make it so. It's a constant credibility because that's the other thing you're doing in the public eye. So if you do something wrong, it's right now, it's absolutely filmed and it'll go on CNN. So we got to be real careful how we present things, what we do. So it's a real mentorship in our office to get to the point to where you can skillfully, provide that to an entity. So, it's a lot more than just, hey, we sell insurance. It's but at the end of the day, that's pretty much what we're doing. Does that make
Now,
sense?
tell me about what's going on with Brown and Brown.
Yeah, sure. So I started the Gehring Group years ago, and about 3 years ago, we sold to a company called Risk Strategies. So we were kind of dual branded with Risk Strategies and the Gehring Group. And Brown and Brown actually was one of the major competitors that we would go against in the marketplace. Very respected, especially with public entity. They love public entity. And about 2 months ago, they actually acquired Risk Strategies, which made us kind of in the top six, largest in the country. But more importantly, they're out of Daytona Beach, so they're in Florida, which they know who we are, we know who they are. So when it comes to what we do and how we do it, they're pretty excited to have us on board. But we are too, because it's the first time we actually talking to another entity that does what we do a different way, and it's great to uh, already with the collaboration and things that we've gone after and people we've been able to help. It's been a really good 2 3 months here.
It's good to hear because all of the brands are very solid reputations, whether it's Risk Strategies or it's Gehring Group. or Brown and Brown. And so to see this sort of, merger, partnership, however you want to label it, take place, I think it lends credibility to all partners, all players. And everybody, it's a win-win for everyone, even the
Absolutely.
client base. Everybody's going to win here. And merging these kinds of expertise and the personnel and the professionals that I know personally that work for all of these entities, the winner is absolutely going to be those public entities and beyond. So congratulations
Thanks.
on
Yeah,
this.
that's
It's
already
great.
occurred in the sense that, because we're a public entity, we know those other folks so much, now we're like together. It's like, hey, well, how do you do this? And how do we do this? And it's like, oh, that's a great idea. So really pulling the best ideas from both entities. And, it's also, they have a long tenure talking to public entities as we do. So there's a story behind every client and every opportunity out there. And it's been really, really neat, really a lot of fun.
That's great. And I know, boy, you started companies. That's one of your specialties. And I know you're seeing this is brings great joy to you. John, and I didn't mention that John's a member of Leadership Florida's Cornerstone Class 40. Kurt's a member of Leadership Florida's Executive Class 11. So both members, I'm thrilled to be talking to you today. John, I want you to tell us a little bit about what is hot and trending just in your industry, or within what you're working on right now. What's, what's going on? What are you looking at? What are you facing? What's exciting?
We're looking at a lot of things, Wendy. It's, good timing to ask the question because we have a meeting every Tuesday with our internal leadership team, and we start talking about a lot of these topics, a lot of these trends that are coming up. And there's a few of them that we were discussing just this morning. One of them being pharmacy and drug spend. Obviously, we work with a lot of employer-sponsored health plans, and that's usually the number one or number two cost on their plans. So everybody sees the commercials that are going on these days, especially for GLP-1s. That's actually a drug that was developed to treat diabetes, but obviously it has weight loss benefits. So we see a lot of individuals using that medication. And we're strategizing and talking about, okay, great. We have groups that are going to use this drug for their employees through their health plan, but what can we do? Can we put together solutions where it's really a weight management program? The drug is just a part of it, right? It helps them get over the hump, but are they learning good habits so that they can come off the drug? Can they continue to keep that weight down? I'm talking almost a little bit now like I'm in the medical field, but to Kurt's point earlier, this is what happens. Insurance is like the vehicle of what we do, but we end up diving down into all these other areas. Another area that I know that we constantly are tackling now, it's people in general have a real access to care issue. You can talk to anybody right around here, and they will tell you, I have a 6 month wait to get an appointment if I'm going to a new general physician, right? So a lot of our groups, they're looking for different solutions for access to care. There's virtual or telemedicine. We have a number of our clients that do on-site health clinics, which end up becoming the employee's primary care. So now these employees have great access to care through these different solutions that we put in place. There's new legislation coming out all the time. I think it was in the last couple of years, and I'm going to use an acronym now that I don't even think I can translate, but it's ICRA. The long and the short of it is it's for smaller employers, basically to set up what's like a health savings account for their employees. And then the employees take that money and use it how they see fit rather than joining an employer health plan.
Hmm.
And then we
So
get hit with we get hit with other things too, Wendy. I mean, my background, is HR. Because our clients know that I work in HR, they start asking us questions that are a little bit beyond the scope of just employee benefits. John, we have a lot of people that are going on leave now with, the National Guard and different things going on in the political climate. How do you handle those individuals? Do they come off of the plan? Do we leave them on the plan? So we really touch so many different areas. I can't just give you one, but those are just some of the trends we're seeing with our clients right now.
you mentioned GLP, and we could do a podcast just on that because it is becoming so popular. And I hope there are some solutions down the way for those. As I understand it, if you're not, confirmed diabetic or close, you've got to pretty much pay for almost all of the cost. And what I've heard is it's $500 a month might be as the least expensive if your insurance isn't covering. And that is a prohibitive
It is.
fee per month for most citizens. I mean, that is just a lot of money. I mean, that's more than a lot of people's car payments. You know, now you're talking about home payments for things. So I hope, and it'll be interesting as you're monitoring this, I hope that there's going to be a way to get that GLP, you know, price down someday because we are seeing a lot of success in that. And what do we all want our employees to be? Healthy, because they're better employees. They're better at their jobs. They're happier at home and work. So I love that these are some of the things you're focusing on. And please keep me informed as you see this trend because I'm very interested in this and I think our members are as well. Kurt, I want to turn to you about, I love hearing from John about the trends and things that are happening. What are you seeing as the biggest challenge today in your field?
Well, I was going to say AI, and I'm still going to stick with that, but just to, piggyback on what John was saying, I'd say scope creep. Where we say we're going to do this for our clients. And I said what we do is insurance. You just heard what John said he does. We're constantly coming up with new ideas, whether even statutes come out and different things where we've developed products and stuff like that. So the insurance again is the easy part. But someone will come up with an idea. It's like, we really need to do that because it benefits our entire client. So to stay within that scope, make sure we're getting the correct revenue for what we're doing or a fair revenue, but at the same time, we go all over the place. So I think we got about probably 50 different podcasts for you with things that we're working on. But I'll stick with the AI, artificial intelligence. The only reason is that I also involved with a company called Bentech, which is a software enrollment company specific for employee benefits. And the interesting thing about that is that when you think about engineers and stuff like that, they really don't like reviewing other people's code. And the real thing is how do you get them to have AI develop that code for them and just review it? Because what I've learned about AI is if you don't know what good looks like, you can't use AI. It's kind of like when you use Chat GPT, it writes a letter for you. You better read that letter. You just don't
Mhm.
send it. So I think that's the biggest challenge is where does it start and stop? I think most large companies are just scratching the surface with what they can do and how they can use, AI. So we have always in our company tried to be the early adopters. So what can you adopt with AI to where it's somewhat mainstream and you're not breaking things, but making sure that you're staying in front of everybody else out there with what they're doing. And it's all about efficiencies and it's pretty incredible some of the things that it can do and what you're hearing out there. But I think there's somewhere in the truth as far as how fast we're going to get there with some industries compared to others. But there are absolutely applications we're using already, even in the PNC area, as far as gathering information on properties before we even get there, because AI can go out and find those things more effectively, analytic work and things like that. So that's constantly trying to push the envelope and use AI, I think is the biggest challenge just for us. And I think everybody in industry, period.
Everybody is feeling their way around this and finding success and challenges along the way. And we're going to figure this out and it'll continue to evolve, even when you feel like you've got it,
I
you've
will
got
tell you,
your,
our programmers, I give them a lot of credit, really proud of them, that I would say about 60% of what they're doing, they're using AI, and we can actually track that because of how many requests they make and things. We think it's more than doubled the output that they can actually do. And actually, with Replit and different things, we're able to program differently where it's more user friendly to the client, stuff like that. So there's
wow,
a lot of you can really see it there big because it's just so concentrated, and we're like, hey, you got to use this. But I think we need to do that more with all of our disciplines in the company. So that's what we're working on.
that's
And
amazing.
it's more of a forward thinking thing. But if you're not in it and you don't do it, you're gonna be left behind. Period.
Yeah, I totally agree. John, I have had the advantage and benefit of being in your headquarters, and I love the environment that you've built. And you are a very employee centric type of organization. But I'm going to put you on the spot right in front of Kurt. I want you to tell us what is it like to work for your organization? What is it like as an employee? What do you love about it? What are the benefits? You just got to come clean right in front
You
of
are
Kurt.
putting me on the spot here. I mean, I used to say the gentleman that signs my paychecks. That may not be the case now, I guess. But um, I guess the first thing is I would take away the employee moniker for a couple of reasons. One, we're part of Brown and Brown now, so we say teammates, not employees.
Okay, very
But
good. I
this was
like that.
something that I think was super near and dear, even way back when we were Gehring Group, Wendy. It was more like you were more than an employee, you were more than a team member. It was like family. But even more than that, I'd say opportunity. So I've been with the companies now 10 years. Kurt brought me on 10 years ago to be in charge of HR and recruiting for Gehring Group. Lo and behold, we saw that there were some other things that I could do, that I could take on other responsibilities in the company. Like you mentioned, our corporate offices here. I got to be involved in designing and managing this facility. Then we sold to Risk Strategies, and that opened another opportunity for me. I was able to go to Kurt and say, look, for years, my colleagues, other HR directors at our customers say to me, John, can you help with this? John, can you help with that? I think we can turn this into another business. So I was able to do that. The folks at Risk Strategies said, hey, that's great, John, let's do this nationally. Now, with being part of Brown and Brown, another opportunity has presented itself because of some things that are going on structurally. So what I've seen for myself and for many of the people that I've helped bring to the companies over the years, it's opportunity. So more than anything, it's a place where you come in here, it's not just a job. This could literally be your career for 5, 10, 15, and some of the people I've worked with have been here for 20 plus years.
I've had the benefit of meeting your, and I'm going to use your term, teammates, which I love. And to a person, they are enthusiastic about their work. They love working together alongside one another, and they love serving your clients. And that just exudes, enthusiasm. I see it everywhere they go and wherever they represent, which actually takes me to the final question, Kurt, I want to ask you is you have always been an investor in communities, and I know that will continue with your Brown and Brown partnership as well. But why did you early on, and why do you continue to see that investment in communities important? I mean, you don't have to do that. You've got a lot on your plate with your clients. Why did you make that a part of your culture?
I think you get influenced by people. Kate Grangarder, who also part of our company, has always been, at the forefront. But just seeing you know, what she was doing to help those that are just less fortunate. Number one, but you get a lot. It's funny. I always say, people give money to nonprofits, and it's a really important part of nonprofits. Absolutely, but I'm on the ARC board. I've been on the board now, I think about 7 years or so. There's so much more importance as far as giving your time. So we really emphasize the time. Get on a board, make sure that you're participating with the entity. And I think what it does, it actually helps you also in business
Mhm.
because me being on the board of the ARC, I mean, I'm involved in their finances, I'm involved in running the entity and stuff like that. I think it's a harder job actually than running when I'm running over here. So there's actually a benefit and a give back to folks, especially young folks, to say, even my own children and everything. I'm always like, what are you involved in? What are you doing? Because I think it's bigger and better than ourselves. And it everybody in our entity is very much wanting to contribute. I think we have, Paint Your Heart Out. We just set that up for a couple months from now, where that's an entire company event where we all can go. And I know we painted the Boy Scouts building once and other different places. So I just think it's really important that you really look around you. It's not all about business, you know.
Well, I think you two ways contribute to that in culture that you have. One, the people that you actually hire. I think you hire people with that lens in mind. But then you don't stop there. You encourage that with your teammates, and you give them the space and time and encouragement to give back with their time and energy and resources and talent. And I think that's just building that as a part of the culture is not all that common. I love to see it when I see it, but I have seen it firsthand with your organizations.
Well, I would say that I think Brown and Brown. has that same sentiment. I know, some things that they're actually contributing to, even my alma mater and things like that. I won't get into, but because everyone's competing for dollars always. But I think even the alignment there is the same. But I just think if you're so busy, you're thinking about other things. A lot of times people are like, other people are taking care of that
Yeah.
piece of my life, basically. I just think it's really important culture wise. The other thing about our office too is because of the way it's set up, we have several, nonprofits that'll actually meet in our office and stuff like that because it's kind of hard to find meeting space every once in a while too.
Yeah.
So it's
You've
just,
always been room for us.
I just think it's an important part of just overall being a human being to search that stuff out. Makes for better people.
Well, it certainly shows. John and Kurt, it's been great talking with you today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Thanks
Wendy.
for having us, Wendy.
That was such a great conversation with Kurt Gehring, National Practice Leader Public Entities with Gehring Group Risk Strategies, and John Muller, Vice President of Strategy and Growth. They're both lifetime members and from the Gulfstream region. Kurt is from Executive Class 11, and John is from Cornerstone Class 40. I enjoyed hearing a lot about what they had to offer today, but one thing I really liked is the comment that was made that insurance is a vehicle of what they do, but they dive into different areas when they're working with their clients in these public entities. He talked about how they become almost like a consulting partner because they're so integrated into the employee benefits packaging and questions that arise around employees in these entities that they serve that they come very integrated. And he really talks about that with pride. So listening to this, it's really a great opportunity to learn more about these companies and really a great interview. Thank you so much for listening to the Leadership Exchange hosted by Leadership Florida and sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware.